And we're live. I am Ivy, and I, of course, am here with my co-host, Keisha.
Woo woo!
And we're back again with Krystal. You want to say hi, Krystal? And we're here to do the Body Love Yoga Party. And so if you saw our previous episode, we had so much fun with Krystal. And unfortunately, Keisha missed a little bit of it. She wasn't able to be there. So we had to come back again, do it with Keisha. And we wanted to have a full-out yoga party where Krystal is going to give us some live instruction. So if you're not already on your mat, go ahead and get your mat ready, make some space, and let me explain to you how you can participate with us today. If you have any questions, you can always click on the Q&A button that's in the event. And once you type in your questions or your comments, we'll see them and we'll be able to address them live. If there's anything that you see that you really love, you can hit the little hands and clap for us, give us the applause. So we want to get as much out of this session as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and, Keisha, did you have anything to say before we get started?
It's a party, y'all. Let's do this. And I have a special guest with me today. He's joining us. Let's do it. Ready.
All right. Well, Krystal, welcome back.
Thank you. I had so much fun last time. That was like just such a boost for me to hang out with you guys. It really inspired me too. So that was really awesome.
Awesome. So just in case anyone didn't see the last show, can you give us a little bit of an introduction about who you are, what you do, and why you're back on the show again so people know who you are?
Sure. So I'm Krystal, and I live in the subarctic, actually. So I live really far north, and we have almost 24-hour daylight right now, so that's the light behind me. And I'm a yoga therapist, and I have a 500-hour professional yoga therapist certification, and I work with women to help women love their bodies, and I primarily do that through yoga. And last time when we hung out, we did a little practice. That's sort of what I have used for myself too, of how to use yoga and help me love my body, which is using a pose and using affirmations and using mudras or hand gestures to help bring about that change and change the feelings that we have towards our bodies. And yeah, so I've gone on my own journey of hating my body and feeling like I needed to fix my body and being ashamed of my body and being at war with it. Since I was like 10, probably, maybe even earlier than that, but definitely started the first diet at 10. And, when I first started practicing yoga, I was definitely the biggest body in the room. And, I mean, I'd been pretty used to that for most of my life anyway. But, yeah, so now I work with women to help them love their bodies and using my yoga therapy training to add to that movement of body love.
Awesome.
Love it.
Were we synchronized there? Did we say awesome at the same time?
Yes.
So that means you're like double awesome, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have the floor, so we're following you. Let's go. Let's get this party started.
Okay. Well, I thought I'd kind of talk about for people who are feeling just a little bit of talking before we get started. Just for people who are feeling like they want to start a yoga practice but are intimidated, and because I definitely got messages through email and on my Facebook page after our hangout, and I want to let people know I really identify with that feeling of being intimidated, of going into starting a yoga practice and going to public classes where you might feel like you're the biggest body in the room and you might feel like you can't do the same kind of things that the other people can do and all the different things. And I know too, like, how when you begin yoga or any movement practice, how that practice of being with your body in that movement can actually trigger body shame feelings and feelings of body loathing. So it's really important for it to be a safe space. And that isn't always the case with yoga classes. They can actually be pretty body shame triggering places. And so really I want to work, to continue to have it be more of a safe place for people, all people. And, so one of the things that I would recommend for people to do is try to find a body positive yoga teacher in your area. Curvy Yoga has a listing of the instructors that they've certified, and Krista Henderson, who runs Born to Reign Athletics, is a body positive athlete, and she has a list too of different body positive coaches and trainers and yoga teachers. And then there's this other great Facebook group called Body Positive Athletes, run by Leah Gilbert out of Australia, and she also posts great resources, and it's a great community to find maybe somebody in your area that you would be able to work with and that would be safe. So just on the idea of like who's gonna be able to be that person, because maybe they wouldn't identify that they're a body positive yoga teacher, but you want to look for somebody who doesn't use body shaming triggering language. So that would be something like, if you want to lose weight, do this, or sit in chair pose for a really long time to burn more calories. And if they're talking about weight loss and if they're talking about burning calories, that's not really what yoga is about. And also if you have body image issues, that could be very triggering. And then the other thing too, like yoga instructors often use language like come into the full expression of the pose, and that kind of language also makes you feel like, oh, I can't do that, so my body must not work for yoga because I can't do the full expression of the pose, or I'm not as good at yoga as these other people because they can come into the full expression of the pose. But the benefits, and I talked about this the last time we chatted, that the benefits of the asana practice are the point. The whole point of us doing the poses, asanas are the poses, is to get the benefits inside our bodies and inside our minds. So you can get those same benefits from any variation of the pose. So I really want to encourage people to feel free to modify the poses. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be doing lots of different modifications that will hopefully make yoga a little bit more accessible for some more people. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that the teachers need to be well versed in what are the different modifications out there. So if they're a bigger bodied teacher, they'll probably tend to have already had to do the modifications for themselves or understand what the different things can be. But even any teacher of any size really should be looking at, what do I need to know for all the diversity of people who might come to one of my yoga classes? So it's really on the teacher to inform themselves. However, if you're in a yoga class and the teacher isn't offering those options, I also want to strongly encourage everybody to just do what feels right in your body. So if it's not feeling right for you in your body, feel free to modify and feel free to do what feels good for your body, because it's your body, you know it best, and you want to look after it. So with that in mind, we'll turn to some of the poses and getting into our yoga practice. I'm going to be starting sitting on a chair. So if you guys have a chair, you can be sitting in a chair. If you don't have a chair, that's totally fine. You could sit on the floor. Keisha and her niece are going to be demonstrating sitting on the floor. Me and I will be sitting in a chair. And we'll just start there in a seated position. I'm going to change my camera. So, oh, I have no head. So when you're sitting in your chair, when you're sitting on the floor, you want to take a moment and just feel that you're sitting really on your sitting bones. That's the part of the pelvis that where at the bottom of the pelvis. And what you don't want to be sitting on is on your tailbone. So the tailbone is the bottom of the spine and is not meant to support the weight of the torso. So you want to sit on the pelvis, which is a nice big bone structure that helps support the weight of the torso. So sometimes that involves just giving a little bit of a tilt to your pelvis forward. And if you're sitting on the chair, you'll probably want to sit a little bit farther forward in the chair to be able to feel that in your pelvis. And for you ladies sitting on the floor, same thing, sitting up on a block or a bolster of some kind, or towels or pillows, that helps to lift your hips up and helps to give you that tilt to your pelvis as well. So from there, if you're on the chair, you want to align your ankle joint underneath your knee joint and have the legs coming straight out. If that doesn't, sometimes our thighs are bigger and that position doesn't feel comfortable, take the knees a little bit wider and just keep the ankles underneath the knees with your knees a little bit wider. So from there, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And I always like to do a little bit of a process of checking in at the beginning of our practice. So you want to give a moment just to check in with what's happening with your body. So how has your body shown up for your yoga practice today? What different sensations are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling pain or discomfort anywhere? Is there anywhere in your body that needs a really good stretch that you might want to focus into that part of your body? Or is there anywhere that you might want to be a little bit more gentle with? So if you're recovering from an injury or if you have something else going on in your body, you might want to be a little gentle there. So you can take a few moments just to check in, notice what your body is doing. And then also take this time to notice what's happening in your mind. So yoga is a mind, body, spirit practice. So you want to also check in with the mind. And a lot of the benefits we can get from yoga happen in the mind. You can notice things like what kind of mood are you in as you start your yoga practice. And you can notice what kind of thoughts you're thinking. You can also notice how quickly or slowly those thoughts are moving. The more relaxed we are, the more the thoughts tend to move a little bit slower. And then the last thing you want to check in with too is your breath. So throughout our practice, we'll be practicing breath awareness as we move through our postures. But in this moment, sitting in this posture, you can take this time just to see what's happening with your breath at the beginning of your practice. And you can notice things like how fast or slow are you breathing. You can notice what it feels like as the breath moves into your body. Does it feel like it flows easily? Does it feel like you can take a nice deep breath and breathe into all parts of your body? And then you can either keep your eyes closed or gently open them, and we'll start to direct our breath. And this is the same breath we did last time, and we'll just review it a little bit. We're going to bring our hands to our low belly. You can also not bring your hands to your low belly if that doesn't feel comfortable. And we're going to start to breathe really deep down in the torso. So when we breathe, we want to use the whole torso to breathe. And as you inhale, the breath is going to fill up to the top of the torso, and as you exhale, you're going to empty the air out from the top down to the bottom. So we'll start just by practicing breathing into the bottom of our torso. So into the low belly, into what I like to call the pelvic bowl. And you can imagine like almost there's a balloon in there, and as you breathe in, the balloon expands in 3 dimensions. And as you breathe out, the balloon releases the air. And if your hands are on your belly, you might start to feel your belly press a little out into your hands as you breathe in, and release back towards your spine as you breathe out. And then we'll move on to the next step, the next part of the breath, which is breathing more into the ribs. So option here to bring your hands onto your ribs or just leave your hands on your thighs. And then from there, you'll breathe in and see if you can feel the expansion of your ribs out as you breathe in. And then see if you can feel the release of your ribs as you breathe out. So it's again happening in 360. So you want to feel front, back, and sides of your ribs, even though I know you only have your hands on one place. You want to feel all parts of the ribs expand and then all parts of the ribs release. And then the last part of our breath is going to be breathing into the upper chest. So this tends to be where a lot of people breathe, especially if they are chronically stressed. And it also stimulates the stress response in the body. So on its own, it's not something we would really want to encourage, but it's going to be a part of our 3-part breath here. So for this one to feel it, you can hook your thumbs underneath your armpits, or you can just lay your palms across your chest. And then as you breathe in, you're going to feel your fingers move away from each other. And then as you breathe out, you'll feel your fingers kind of come back towards each other. So the hands are just being used as additional awareness to help bring our awareness to that part of our body. And even though your hands are on the front of your body, see if you can also feel as you breathe here, your shoulder blades, the bones on the backs of your shoulders and your upper back, kind of move away from each other as you breathe in, and then kind of float back towards each other as you breathe out, kind of mimicking that movement of your hands in the front of your body. And then you can place your hands back on your thighs, and we'll put those pieces together. So when we start our inhale, we're going to inhale into the belly, and then up into your ribs, and then up into the chest and your upper back. And then as you exhale, you're going to exhale from your chest down through your ribs, and then all the way down to your belly. So it's a 3-part breath, breathing the belly, ribs, up into your chest and upper back, and exhaling from the chest and upper back, through the ribs, down to the belly. So we'll take 2 more breaths like that, breathing into the belly, the ribs, the chest, the ribs, and down to your belly. And then inhale, belly, ribs, up to the chest, and exhale from the chest, through your ribs, down to your belly. And if you have your eyes closed, you could open them now, and we'll move into doing some movement for your spine just to start to warm up the spine a little bit. So our spine, we talked about this last time as well, but the spine has 6 movements, and they kind of come in pairs, and we'll move through each of those pairs of movements. The first pair of movement is flexion and extension of the spine, and in yoga we typically do cat-cow to move the spine through flexion and extension. So here in our seated positions, you can bring your hands onto your thighs for support, especially if you're sitting in the chair. And what we'll do is, as you inhale, you're going to let your belly rock forward, your pelvis go back, then lift up through your chest, pull your shoulders back, and look up towards the ceiling. So you're opening up through the front of your body. And then as you exhale, pull your belly button back towards your spine. Let your shoulders come forward. You could even slide your hands forward towards your knees, and then drop your chin down towards your chest. As you inhale, your belly comes forward, pelvis goes back, chest lifts, open up through the chest. And then as you exhale, round the spine by pulling your belly button back towards your spine, moving the shoulders forward and dropping your chin to your chest. So it's inhale, open up through the front of the body, and exhale, open up the back of the body. We'll do that 2 more times. You want to make the movement match your breath. So let your inhale be that same breath we were just doing when we were just sitting, and allow the length of your movement to match the length of your breath. So you're inhaling still, belly, ribs, up into the chest, and then you're exhaling from your belly, through your ribs, from your chest, through your ribs, down to your belly. And we'll come back and sit up nice and tall. So that was our first pair of the movements of the spine. The next pair is to do lateral side-to-side movements. So for this one, if you're able to lift your arm over your head, we'll lift our arms over our head. If you're not able to lift your arms overhead, if you have a shoulder injury, if that just doesn't feel comfortable in your body, you can put your hands on your hips while we do this. So if you're lifting your arms up over your head, you can interlace your hands in front of you, flip the palms away from you, and then take the arms up overhead. You can keep a bend to the elbow too. That helps give you a little bit more room in your shoulders. And then even lift your shoulders up towards your ears, and then you kind of can move them back a little bit more. Usually if you lift them up, and then they go back and down. So from there, you want to think about keeping your neck nice and long, your spine is nice and long. Take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, come over to your right side, and you're lifting your left ribs away from the left pelvis. So it's a stretch on your left side. And then inhale, come back up through center. And exhale, we'll go over to the left side, and you'll feel the stretch on your right side. Come back up through center. Exhale, release your hands down. And we're going to switch the interlacing of our fingers. I know we did this last time, and it's so you put your fingers together the way you would always interlace them, and then switch it, which is sometimes hard for your brain.
And it feels so funny to do it that way.
I know. So it's kind of good for your brain to be like, how do I interlace my fingers the other way? And it's funny, we all just have this one way we all like to do it, and it's different for everybody. So we'll interlace our weird way, and then flip the palms away again. Reach the arms up overhead, keeping the elbows bent to give a little bit more room. And then again, shoulders go up, and then you can pull them back and down maybe a little bit more. And always you can still choose to bring your hands to your hips. Take your inhale here to lengthen through your spine, and then we'll go again, exhaling this time to your left. Inhaling, coming up through center. Exhale to your right. Inhale, come back up through center. And then we'll release the arms down again. And then you can roll out your shoulders a little bit, because having the arms over the head tends to work the shoulders a little bit. So just take some movement with your shoulders, whatever feels good to loosen up the shoulder joint and relax the shoulder muscles. I love it, Keisha.
Yeah, baby, shimmy it out. Right.
Totally. It's a yoga party. We call it a yoga party. So. Awesome. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is a twist. And sometimes in bigger bodies, the twist, it can feel like you're working against your belly a little bit. And especially often in yoga, there'll be like you're taking your arm across your body, or you'll maybe have your leg close to you. So it's nice to give a little bit more space. So I'm going to show first, starting bringing your left hand to your left knee, and your right hand, you can bring it behind you onto the floor or whatever you're sitting on the floor, or on your chair. And if you're sitting on a chair that has a back, you could even hold on to the back of the chair. That's another option. So before we come into the full twist, so you can still be looking forward, just have your hands in their position, you want to lift up through your spine again. You want to take an inhale, lift up, lift the ribs away from the pelvis, and then as you exhale, it's like a spiral. So you're going to roll your belly around first, and then your ribs, and then your shoulders, and then you can turn your head. Your hand on your left knee can be used as a little bit of support, if you feel like it might be comfortable in your body, you could take your left hand over to your right knee and use that as your support. It depends on everybody's body. Some bodies it feels okay to keep the hand on the knee. Some bodies prefer the other knee. If you're on the floor, another option is to use a prop in front, like a block out in front to keep the arm away from the body. So we'll take 2 breaths holding our twist as you inhale, breathe up all the way through the torso. As you exhale, you might find there's a little bit more space to come into your twist a little bit deeper. And as you inhale, you can even come out of your twist a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of space. And then for our last exhale, come in a little bit deeper again. And then as we inhale, take the head back to center and then release the rest of your torso. And we'll set ourselves up for the other side. So right hand, right knee. I'm mirroring you guys, and I'm terrible with left and right. Just gonna come clean. I'm terrible with it. So right hand on right knee. Left hand goes behind you, supporting you in some kind of position. It can be on the floor, it can be on the chair if you're sitting on a chair. Then we'll take our inhale, lifting up to our spine, and then exhale, the belly comes around, the ribs come around, the shoulders come around, and finally the head. And I also like to encourage people in their twists to even close their eyes and really go inside and feel what's happening on the inside of your body. So the spine is getting a little bit of a twist, which helps release tension, which helps release the muscles around the spine a little bit too. And some of the organs are getting a little bit of a squish too. So you can just go inside your body and just notice, how does that feel for me inside my body? What are the benefits I'm feeling from the pose? And then on your next inhale, you can take your head back to center and release the torso back to center after that.
I feel great. Good stretch.
Yeah, hey? I'm glad you like it. So those are the 6 movements of the spine, and they're something that you can do every day. And they're also, as you can tell, something you could do. So if you have an office job and you find yourself sitting in a chair, or if you're a student and you're sitting in your chair, if you want to take a little break, you could do those 6 movements, and that's really great practice for spinal health. And also just helps to relieve tension. Just doing a little bit of practice with some breath awareness really helps to calm down. Are you guys feeling that?
Yes, actually.
Yay! Okay, so from here we're going to come to our mats and we're going to be standing. So I'm going to move my chair out of the way. And one of the things that we're going to be using today is a lot of the props. So I really like to use the props for our practice because it helps make a lot of things accessible for us. I'm just wondering if you guys can see. So I've got blocks here. I've got 2 blocks, and I'm going to be placing them up at the top of my mat on either side. And if at home, if you don't have yoga blocks, you could use books or any block-like item you've got around that you could use to bring the floor up to you. I also have 2 bolsters, and they're like really firm pillows. So if you don't have bolsters at home, you could use a rolled-up towel, a rolled-up blanket. Pillows could be helpful too, but they tend to be a little bit more squishy, but you can grab whatever you've got lying around. And then I also have a strap and a blanket. So the strap we'll be using as well. The strap is helpful to if parts of your body are not coming together, we could use it, and it's another great thing for something that Keisha and I were talking about before the show started, boob smushing and getting suffocated by your breasts. The strap can be used. How about that? So I'll show you guys that little trick later. So we're going to start, I'm going to take you guys through a sun salutation with some different modifications for bigger bodies. One of the first things we'll be doing is a forward fold. So before I turn away from the camera, I'll just show you guys. Forward fold, people tend to, you know, in some yoga traditions, they'll have the feet together, which is like physically impossible in my body. I cannot get my feet to come together when I'm standing. And there's probably a lot of other people out there who can identify with that. So another tradition of yoga has more of an alignment of the ankles being underneath the knees and underneath the hips. If you're in a bigger body, though, and this goes for pregnant women too, or people who have really tight hamstrings, taking your feet a little bit wider than your hips can be really nice. So let's start with our feet wide. And if you have your block, you could bring your block in front of you just to help bring the floor up to you. I'll let you guys get set up and grab your gear. So you've got your feet a little bit wider than hip width, and you want to have the second toes parallel to each other. So sometimes that feels a little bit pigeon-toed for people at first, but give it a try, and if it doesn't bother your knee, I mean, if you do feel knee pain, then go back to what feels right for your body. But give bringing your second toes parallel to each other a try here. And we're going to bring our hands together into a prayer position. And we'll go through a half sun salutation. So what we're going to do is as you inhale, you're going to sweep your arms down, out to the side, up towards the ceiling, and then you can even look up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you're going to take your hands down to about a T position, soften into your knees, and you're hinging just at your hip to come on down to a forward fold. So with the forward fold, you could bring your hands to the block. You could even leave your hands on your thighs for support, but this is where the block comes in a little bit handy. And then taking the legs a little bit wider apart gives your belly a little bit more space. So let's take a full breath in our forward fold, using our blocks or hands on the floor, wherever feels comfortable for your body. Come back to that 3-part breath that we practiced at the beginning. And then when you next breathe in, use the block or the floor for support and lift your spine up, lift your torso up so that it becomes parallel to the floor. So we'll turn to the side to demonstrate that. So you want to bring the spine back up so it's parallel to the floor. And then as you exhale, refold back into your forward fold. As you inhale, you're going to take your arms out into the T position, rise back up to standing, reach your fingers up towards the ceiling, and then bring your hands back down to your heart. So let's do that 2 more times, and I'll do it with the breath at the pace of the breath so that you guys can kind of feel the flow of that. So you've got your feet a little bit wider, you've got your toes parallel to each other, hands come into a prayer position. Inhale, arms go down, out to the side, up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, your hands come back down, soften into your knees, hinge just at your hips, fold forward, bring the hands to the block, to the floor, or to your thighs. Inhale, hands on the blocks, or even on your thighs to lengthen your spine. Exhale, refold. Let your head release too, so don't hold tension in the neck here. And then as you inhale, press with your feet into the floor to help lift you back up. Exhale, bring the hands back down to your heart. And we'll go one more time. Inhale, sweeping the arms into a big circle. Exhale, hinging forward at your hips, come down to your forward fold. Inhale, lift up the spine, lift up the torso, open up through your heart. Exhale, refold. And then as you inhale, use the muscles in your legs to push yourself up. Exhale, bring your hands back down to your heart. So that was half sun salutation.
I can do that. I can do that one.
You can do that one? Awesome. All right, so we're going to build on that and work into more of a full sun salutation. So I'm going to turn sideways. You guys can still see me. Same thing, we're going to, the half sun salutation builds, it starts in the same way for the full sun salutation. So same starting position. Feet maybe a little bit wider, second toes parallel to each other. Hands coming up into a prayer position. Inhaling, reaching your arms up overhead. And here too, if your shoulders restrict you, you don't have to take your arms all the way up. Exhale, come down to the forward fold. Use your blocks here. Use as many as you need. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. And then from here, we're going to step back into a lunge. So this is where I really like to have the blocks stacked up at their highest height for support underneath the hands. And then we'll step back with the right foot into a lunge. You want to keep your blocks underneath your shoulders. So if they were forward, bring them back so they're underneath your shoulders again. So you want them to be basically around your foot rather than in front of your foot. So they're at either side of your foot. So this is what we would call a high lunge. So we'll take a nice big inhale in our high lunge. And then as you exhale, bring the back knee down to the floor. Once your knee is on the floor, you could bring your hands up onto your thighs, onto that front thigh, and have a gaze forward. Another option, you could stay here like this, or if you wanted to, you could reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale wherever you are, and then exhale, bring the hands back down to your block.
Sorry, we're falling over here. Hold on.
I know, that one's a balancy one. Lift your back knee up again, come back into that high lunge. And so with the blocks here, what we're doing is lifting the floor up to us and creating a little bit more space for the belly. From here, we're going to step back, and let's come back into a table position to start. So let's drop that back knee down and then bring that back, the front knee to meet it. You can probably put your blocks off to the side at this point. And we'll come into table. So table, you want to have your fingers spread nice and wide. You want to have your wrist joint underneath your shoulder joint, your knee joint underneath your hip joint. And this is a table position. In table, you're not just kind of hanging out here. You're using your core, pulling your belly button back towards your spine, and thinking about lengthening your spine so the tailbone goes towards the back of the mat and the crown of your head goes up towards the top of your mat, which means that your gaze is looking in between your hands. So we'll take an inhale here, and then if you want to stay here, you can, or you can come into downward facing dog. So to come into downward facing dog, you're going to tuck your toes, and I like to take my feet back out wide and go as wide as the mat with the feet. And then you're going to push into your hands and feet, lift the hips up nice and high, coming into downward facing dog. Another nice thing to do is to bend one knee and then the other to stretch out the backs of your legs, especially if this is your first downward facing dog of the day. So from here, coming into your downward facing dog, take a big breath in, and then as you breathe out, lower your knees back down to the floor. So usually in a yoga practice, we would be coming into a plank position, but I want to show you a plank modification. So in the modified plank, your knees are on the floor, you walk your hands forward a little bit, And then you drop your hips forward so that you're creating one long line from your knees all the way up to the crown of your head. So this is a modified plank. If that feels not right for your body, you could stay in table pose too. So we'll take a big breath in our plank pose, and then we're going to lower the torso down to the floor, all the way down to the floor. From there, you want to not still have your toes tucked under. You're going to put the tops of your feet on the floor and hug your elbows into your sides and actually actively press your feet into the floor. Then from here, you're going to lift up into a little baby cobra. So your chest lifts up off the floor and you look forward. Take a big inhale here. And then as you exhale, come back into table. Awesome. So often at this point, there's a transition where yoga instructors would go from downward facing dog and then take their leg up, which the belly gets in the way, to come back into the lunge. So I want to show you guys different options.
Yes.
One option is to stay in table, bring your foot up. Then you can grab your blocks. Then you can lift your back knee up. That one's a really nice option. I'm going to show you two other options. The two other options are you could be in downward facing dog and lift your leg up high so it can get some momentum and walk your hands over to the other side of your mat. So if my left leg is lifted, I walk my hands to the right side of my mat. And then you have a little bit more room to get your leg forward, and you can kind of wiggle your foot into position. And then you can find your blocks. Did you try it, Ivy? Awesome. All right. So that was another option. Another option could be to use the blocks. So if you were in downward facing dog, you could have your hands on the blocks, and they give a little bit more space too. So let's all find our way into the high lunge position, using our blocks at whatever height feels best for your body. Take an inhale in your high lunge, and then exhale, lower the back knee down again. So we're on our other leg, not the leg that you did last time. Then again, you can bring your hands up onto your thigh. And this is where it can get wobbly. So to prevent the wobbliness, look at one thing ahead of you that's not moving. And also pull your belly button back towards your spine. So use your core. You can stay here, or inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And then exhale, take hands back down to the blocks. Inhale, lift the back knee up again. Exhale, you're going to push off the back foot and step forward into your forward fold. You can use your blocks in front of you again. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Exhale, refold your spine, let your head release. And then inhale, take the arms out wide, reach all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands back to your heart. Woo! How was that?
I made it through.
Sometimes I like to make the joke that it can feel like a slow burpee, like if you've ever done burpees in a workout class. It can be a little bit like so it is a workout doing the sun salutation. So I'd like to invite everybody to join me for one more round of it, and this time I won't do as much demonstration and instruction, and then you can feel, again, the flow of the movement. So,
Krystal.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say I was glad that you showed how to get from table back into lunge, because I've always struggled with that, because like you said, with the belly and the thighs, I was like, how do I do that? So once you showed what worked best for me was when you said moving the legs to the other side and then moving back in, that was easiest for me.
Yay! I'm so glad. That is something that I hear all the time for people of all body sizes, actually. And so I practiced and came up with what are the things we could do to help that. And I actually made a YouTube video of it. It's not on it's on my site. It's not public yet, but I'll make it public after this. And so people could go on my YouTube site and check out the video of how to the different modifications for getting your leg up from the lunge. And I can share my YouTube site. I'm like, how will people find that?
We can share it on here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll share it, and and then it shows the different ideas, same things that we just did too. Okay, so let's go through one more time, and whatever one worked for you. So if you liked table and then bringing your foot up, or if you like the hands to the side and then bringing your foot up, whichever one of those worked for you, whichever one works, you're going to give those ones a try. And keep your props with you and everything. We'll come back to your mat. We're going to do the other side, the side that you didn't do last time.
All right, let's do this.
Yes, ladies, let's do this. So feet a little bit wide, second toes parallel to each other, hands up into a prayer position. Take an inhale, reach out to your arms, reach up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, you're hinging at your hips and coming down to your forward fold. You can use your blocks again, let your head release. As you inhale, lift up your spine, lengthen your spine. And then as you exhale, you're going to step back with your left foot, since we did the right foot last time. Use your blocks. Walk the blocks back so that they're underneath your shoulders and beside your foot. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lower your back knee down to the floor. Lift your hands up to your thighs. Maybe reach the arms up overhead. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands come back to the blocks. Inhale, you lift your back knee up. So this is one option. And you can step back to downward facing dog from there. Or you come down to table. And then from table to downward facing dog. So we'll take a big inhale in our downward facing dog. And then exhale, lower the knees back down to the floor. Walk the hands forward a little bit. Drop the hips. Come into our half plank, taking an inhale. And exhale, lower your belly all the way down onto the floor. Tops of the feet press into the floor. Inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, come back to table. From table, press back into downward facing dog. Or you can stay in table as well. Now here we go with the tricky part. So either come back to table and bring your foot forward, or try walking the hands over to the side. Inhale, lift the leg high. Exhale, bring it up in between your, or not in between your hands, but up near your hands. Take your blocks. So wherever, however you got there, come back into the high lunge. Taking an inhale. Exhale, back knee comes down to the floor. Lift the torso up. Pause, get your center. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come back to your blocks. Inhale, lift your back knee up. Exhale, step forward. Put your feet in the preferred position. Let your torso release. Use your blocks if you need to. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Exhale, refold your spine. And then inhale, press with your legs to reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. You did it, ladies! Awesome. Was it a little easier the second time around? Keisha, are you having a date party?
Now I knew a little bit more of what to do. So it was easier the second time, yes.
Cool. Awesome.
You see me, I gotta sweat here.
Oh,
this is my exercise.
Yeah. Thank you. So I just want to show, I know we're like getting close to the end here. I got excited, I think, and but I wanted to show two more poses. Do we have time for two more poses?
Let's do it.
Okay, so perfect. So the next thing I wanted to show would be a very gentle inversion. So inversions are really great for the body to experience gravity in a different way, and just can be very releasing for the spine again. So we're going to do what's called a supported bridge. So for the supported bridge, you're going to take your blanket or a pillow or something, and you're going to put it on your mat like so that it kind of goes across your mat. And since we're going upside down, this is the part where I was saying that the boob smush things happen. So when you lie on your back, even if you don't go upside down, but when you lie on your back, often the breasts come up and kind of squish the face a little. And one of the tricks to not do that, not have that happen, is to take a strap or a belt, even like a belt you would use on your pants, and to put it around your upper back, and then you'll actually interlace the strap in front.
Hold these mugs down? Is that what we're doing?
That's exactly it. So the strap just prevents the boob smush a little bit. So you can give it a try. You can see. You can also try it without it. And then if you do find that it feels uncomfortable because your breasts are in your face, you can grab the strap. So I'm going to just get out of this. And then we're going to come down and be sitting in front of the bolster. So, or if you have a blanket or your pillow, you can sit on that too. So you're going to be coming onto your bolster, and then, or your prop of whatever kind. You're going to lift your hips up onto it a little bit. So my bum is no longer on the floor, it's up on the prop. And then you're very slowly going to let yourself roll back. So this is where you might experience the boob smush.
Oh, the belt's working!
Yeah! Yay! So here, you want to have your knees about hip width apart, or wider again if that feels more comfortable in your body, but keep your ankle joint underneath your knee joint. Your arms can come out into the T position, so straight out from the shoulders with your palms face up, if that feels comfortable for your arms. And here, our next pose is relaxation pose, corpse pose, or shavasana. So we're wanting to start to relax. We're wanting to start to set the body up for relaxation. So you can go ahead and close your eyes here. And just take some time again to notice what's happening inside the body. So you want to feel how your knees are higher than your hips and feel that release from the knees to the hips. And then feel that your hips and your pelvis are really sitting into the block or into the prop so that the hips are heavy. In your belly area, your low belly in particular, you might feel sort of this gentle scooping sensation because gravity is kind of still acting downward, but it's also moving up towards your torso, upwards in your torso. So you can feel sort of a gentle scooping action here. This should feel really good on the low back. So adjustments to the position of your prop if that doesn't feel comfortable for your low back. And then you can feel from your belly how everything is moving up towards your sternum, and then you can even feel like it goes, the energy moves out through the crown of your head. So it's like gravity is just washing your body in a different way, in the opposite way than you're usually experience gravity. So we'll rest here and take 3 of those conscious breaths, breathing into our belly and our ribs and then up into the chest. And then exhaling from the chest, through the ribs, down to the belly. Continue to breathe like that, breathing into all parts of your torso. And let your jaw relax. Let your eyes soften. Even let your tongue relax. And then we'll move into our final relaxation. So to come out of this pose, there's a couple of options. You could lift your hips up and push the bolster down or move it out to the side. You could roll over onto your side off of your prop and then come up. I definitely like that option. So the next pose for us is going to be our final relaxation. And just like I was saying, when we lie down on our backs, sometimes the breasts like to get all up in our face. So one great option is to do a little bit different of a setup. So to use your props. I have all the blocks and everything, so I'm going to show you guys what that would be like. You can set your blocks up into like an L position if you have your blocks. If you don't have your blocks, you could still take something hard like a stack of books and just put that there too. Either of those things will work. Then you'll want to have your blanket, your bolster. The blanket might not provide enough support if you're using the blocks. You can see how it works for you. You could use your pillow too. But if you do have blocks in a bolster, you want to set it up so that the bolster is at an angle. And I'm going to show you guys the deluxe version here too, because the other thing that happens, especially, you know, you got a booty going on, it can feel awkward just to like lie on this hard flat floor that doesn't have our curves, right? So what can help is to have something for support underneath your knees. And just release your low back and give a little bit more space for the booty. So if you have a towel again or another blanket, you can even, sometimes I'll get off my yoga mat and roll up my yoga mat and use that underneath my knees. That's another option too. You can put the support underneath your knees. Good job, Ivy. That looks good. And then lay back over your bolster. And then because your torso is at this angle, you're not going to get the boob smush. Oh, the bolster tower file. So here, you can let your arms rest at your sides, let the hands rest on the floor, turn the palms face up towards the ceiling if that feels comfortable, just so you're getting a little bit more opening across your chest here. And you could also not come up as high, so you don't have to be as high of an angle as my support is. You could just use one block, You could use the block on its like lowest level. And then take a moment, check in with your body. You want to be as comfortable as possible. So Shavasana, which is the name of this pose, or corpse pose, is all about letting everything go so that your mind and your body have some time to integrate the experience you just had. So you want to be in the most comfortable position you can be in. And usually that means having the legs into a little bit of a V so that there's a little space around the legs. And then you really want to let the toes fall out to the side. So sometimes we hold tension in our inner thighs and inner groin that keep the toes up. Really let your inner thighs and inner groin relax and let the toes fall out to the side. Make sure your low back feels comfortable. Sometimes it feels good to lift the hips up and move the tailbone down towards the heels, and then release the low back that way. And again, palms face up towards the ceiling. You can close your eyes. And we want to let go of all of our senses, because this is a relaxation practice where we're going inward, not using our senses to sense the outer world. So you want to let your jaw really relax. You could even yawn or fake yawn to relax the jaw. And then let your tongue relax and feel all the muscles in your face soften. Feel all the little muscles around your eyes soften. Feel your eyelids, and then feel your eyelids and your eyes get heavy. Let them feel like they're kind of sinking back towards the back of your head. Feel your forehead, skin smooth and soften. And then feel your brain, and even let the brain go. Let the brain get heavy, and feel like your brain is sinking towards the back of your body. And then feel all of your skin, and let all of your skin soften. And then rest here and allow, with every exhale, feel like you're releasing even more. So every time you breathe out, you move into a deeper level of relaxation. Every time you breathe out, your body lets go a little bit more. We'll just give us about a minute to rest here and let ourselves experience the pose and process the yoga practice that we have. Gently bringing your awareness back into the space that you're in. And you can start just by deepening your breath and deepening your inhales to bring energy back into your body. And then you can even just start by moving your feet and your hands a little bit. And then maybe move your legs and your arms. Maybe stretch the arms up overhead. And then we'll support the body and bring the feet onto your bolster or onto the floor so that you have your knees bent. And then from there, you can roll over onto your side. And from your side, come back up to sitting. And I'm going to move in a little closer just so I can see you guys.
Hey, Krystal, look, I think one has fell asleep. That felt great.
Yay! I love doing yoga with you ladies.
Oh my gosh, I am going to use that belt more often when I'm doing stuff.
I know. Anytime it's like lying down or coming into, like, if other people out there do shoulder stand or plow pose, or anytime you're going upside down in any way, it's a great option for keeping things in place.
Got it. Thank you so much. Ivy, how are you doing over there, dear?
I am so relaxed. I just want to like lay down right here and go to sleep. This is the reason why I'm so passionate about yoga.
I love it.
Thank you, Krystal, so much.
Well, you know what?
Awesome.
This has renewed my, I guess, quest to get back to yoga because, Krystal, as you were explaining in the beginning, one of the reasons I didn't do yoga is because, you know, I go to the classes and it seemed like everybody else was all, you know, doing the full poses, and I'm like, okay, I can't do that, so I'll just stand here. You know what I mean?
No, totally. And it gets discouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never went back. Yeah. And, you know, I got a yoga DVD here at home, but wasn't enthusiastic about it. But now I am, so thank you very much.
Yay!
Yay!
Yes.
I feel so much better. Some of those stretches or poses were really good stretches.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I know, I feel like I got a little bit of workout. It's like 26 degrees. Well, I'm Canadian, so I say it in Celsius, but it's in my apartment, so I'm just sweating. But this is so awesome. Thank you guys so much for this.
Yes. Thank you, Krystal. And do you know your YouTube address off the top of your head?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But if people, if you go to thelusciouslife.ca, which is the name of my website, on there I post video. I'll post the video in my blog, and then it'll also be on my Facebook page. So The Luscious Life on Facebook, and if you follow Keisha and Ivy, I'll send them also when I make that video public, then I'll send you guys the link too, and then people can get access to it that way. But it definitely, if people want to stay in touch, I loved hearing from people after this last time, and so great. So on my website, people can do the opt-in, and if you give me your email address, I send you a free body love yoga practice. And it includes a recorded meditation. So if people are interested in maybe doing a little bit more, they've gotten all excited, like Keisha, there's that option too on my website. And then also, because I'm going to be launching a bunch of online programs, it'd be great to stay in touch, because I think there's, you know, it'll help bring other aspects of yoga too. And also body positivity, just loving our bodies.
Love it.
And we're all about that.
Yeah.
Keisha, did you have anything before we go?
One, thank you all who joined us and who's watching this later. This was awesome. Glad to have Krystal back with us today. Love, love, love what you do, Krystal. I'm so glad we found you, ran into you, saw your website. Yes, yes, yes. And have been following you since then. So I'm sure there will be an opportunity where we can come back and do something else. So stay tuned for that, guys. Get in touch with Krystal. You know, get with her online, connect with her. Ivy and I will, of course, post the replay so that you can get back in here. This can be one of those videos that you come back to often, guys. You know what I mean? Right. You know, this was a party for us, an exercise. You know, for me, getting a little bit back into yoga. now I can wipe off my sweat and go do something else real quick. But so yes, thank you guys for watching. So glad that I know many of you said you were going to be coming and hanging out with us tonight. So I'm so glad that you did. And that's it. We'll be letting you know what our next show is in 2 weeks. We'll get that information out and promote it to you guys so you can come hang out with us again. Yay!
I want to remember to thank Manifesta because they agreed to sponsor the show. So if you go to mymanifesta.com, and if you use the code SBLS, then you can get 20% off some curvy yoga clothing there. So they make clothing for sizes 0 to 28 for us curvy girls. So yeah.
Manifesta. I'm so awesome.
Yes, I love, and I actually have one of their pants today. So if you can see that they held up through all those salutations and bending and all that stuff, because a lot of times sometimes the pants will roll down or you have to keep pulling them. I didn't have to do any adjustments. It was awesome, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to go check it out. Go get me some attire.
Yes. All right, ladies. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for partying with us.
Woo!
See you soon.